Hello, this is Nick Tibasar. Welcome to my final TLI vision statement for 5361. Seemed appropriate to start where we began. This is my original statement that I made at the beginning of class. As I said here, the internet has fundamentally changed the way people interact with information in the modern era, and education would be foolish to shy away from the obvious advantages that the internet has to offer. My vision for this remains unchanged. Essentially, I view this as transformative type practice when it comes to that. I talk in here about some Web 2.0 stuff and the importance of collaboration within online learning. And that's also remained a staple of my particular vision of how the internet is integrated into learning and so on and so forth. Again, here, I think when it comes to some of the ways that my vision has been changed when it comes to the class. I think I've learned quite a bit more about the idea of building these communities of practice. I think I sort of already understood why, and I've seen it modeled through other classes, but I think that's certainly something that has been reinforced. I keep coming back to this same document every time I start thinking about, the impact of education on I guess teaching and learning. And it comes back to this article, Generation M2, Media in the Lives of 18-Year-Olds. I've been doing a lot of other research, and I feel like every time I write anything, I come back and cite this report. So I guess I appreciate you including it because I think it's a great example. What they talk about here is 5 years ago, so in 2005, young people consumed about 6.5 hours of media a day, which is obviously a lot. But in the past 5, it's now up to 8.5 hours. And I guess in true M2 fashion, I'm doing some media multitasking, listening to music while I record this. So I hope you enjoy the background music. But I think this is a really powerful example of why integrating technology is sort of not really something we get to pick to do or not. It's already these kids are experiencing a deluge of technology just on a daily basis. And so I think integrating that is an essential way to capture student interest. One of the questions that I'd like to respond to is how do you add value and support through and for the purposes of digital technology literacy within a content area? I think one of those ways is by not just delivering everything online, but this idea of blended learning, referring to the blended learning article from class. I've got APA sites at the end for you. But this idea that there can be a better marriage, that it doesn't have to be all or one, but the blending maybe at a course level, combining both online and non-online instruction within one subject. And that's certainly aligned with a lot of my existing beliefs, but it's also aligned with these things from the NETS-T standards, National Educational Technology Standards for Teachers, but the idea of creating empowered leaders, having a lot of planning throughout the stages, but also building a student-centered learning structure. It's very important to me that technology isn't, it's not teacher presentation software that we're implementing. It's things that are actually the kids are going to have their hands on. It's going to be implementing, it's going to be changing their practice. And so that's the most important part for me when it comes to all of that. As a result, sort of as a reflection, I guess, of some of these beliefs, I've actually got an example, a concrete example of how I already use this for my classes. And it is my Ning site that I use for my human geography class. So this thing here, these are all my students. I have them create select a power animal that they use. It also allows them to all have their own individual pages. I can send them mail back and forth through this rather than having to email back and forth. And you can see I can post things. This is a wiki that I set up. My students actually created review materials that they could use for their AP test rather than having to buy the booklets. And you can see again, I've been trying to integrate a bunch of different things. A student sent me a video from YouTube that I posted on here. I do a limerick contest every every winter. So anyway, this is one of those examples of how I try to do those things to build student involvement, to work on digital literacy. You can see a variety of these forums that we've done over the course of a semester, where students get involved in actually having a scholarly discourse back and forth. It also allows them some time freedom to go ahead and work on these sorts of things, while they're at home if they need to, if they're gone, all of those things. So, certainly some barriers exist to this. Really, I think one barrier is sort of the institutional piece. Institutional idiocy can certainly get in the way of good technology integration, but I guess it'd be a shame if we let it stop there. I guess the only other limit is sort of the limit of the imagination. Probably sounds a little bit cheesy, but I think the more creative ways you can come up with, I think that there's infinite possibilities for how technology can be used for the purposes of education. I think some of those pathways do actually lie in those communities of practice. The idea that teachers working together for a common goal, I think, is probably the best way to go about technology integration. And I think, just the will of good people, both in teaching and administration, and working together and caring about kids, I think is ultimately the thing that's going to get us to where we need to be. So my vision of teaching and learning for the internet, with the internet, is, I guess, still ever evolving. It's been impacted by some of these documents that I shared today, along with a lot of the things that I come into contact just on a daily basis in my own media multitasking and all the additional research I've done. So that's Nick signing out. Thanks a lot.